Another reason for the target not being met was that opening of new primary schools that was suggested in the policy, 13,000 at primary level and 5,000 Mohalla schools, could not be achieved. And the reason goes back to number one, funding. You have to have funds to establish a school. Even if it's a small facility, you need at least 3-4 rooms, some furniture, some equipment in order for the school to function. Without appropriate funding, without relevant funding, without enough funding, this was not possible. And because these schools did not open in these large numbers, if you had a target of 13,000 and you opened only 1,000, it falls way short of the target. And if the Mohalla schools were not opened, the girls were still not allowed to go far from their homes, and so literacy rate overall would not show a rise. You had to meet the targets of establishing the schools. Less increase in number of students. It was hoped in the policy that the number of students going to schools would increase. How? The promise was to open more schools, and if more schools were opened closer to homes and communities, yes, the number would go up. But we've seen in number 2 that that target was not achieved. With that target not being achieved through inappropriate funding, the chances that your number of students in existing schools would rise was not going to be possible. After all, existing schools were in a limited facility. There were only so many students you can really cram in a classroom. More than that was not possible. Even if you put them under a tree, how many students can really fit under a tree? And so, wanting to see the rise in the number of students going to schools, or at least attending schools, at least even on paper or register, was not achieved. And so, the literacy rate could not go up. So we see a backfiring here. The number of students doesn't rise because the number of schools don't increase. The number of schools don't increase because the amount of funding doesn't increase. So you see how things can backfire, and only when we provide appropriate funding will the literacy rate be met. You have to achieve a certain level of funding in order to achieve the literacy rates that we want. If that is what we want, then our focus will have to change. And as I said earlier, when we write policies, we need to focus on the monetary impact. What will the monetary impact be of making suggestion A, suggestion B, suggestion C? Is it plausible? Can it be achieved? Because without the money coming, it is not going to be possible to achieve those targets. Less facilities for teachers. We claim that teacher education would be provided. We wanted technical teacher education also to be established, but we fell short. We were not able to provide teachers the facilities we had promised or recommended in the policy. So, when you don't provide the incentive to the teacher, when you don't provide the basic facilities to the teacher, why would a teacher work beyond his or her call of duty? Economically and socially, both these things are important. In terms of economics and in terms of society, we claim teachers to be really role models for society, but we pay them the least. We claim teachers to be socially respectable in societies, but we don't provide them a good social status. Unless we do this, things are not going to change. And even we have to look at who comes into the teaching profession with what basic qualifications, and how can we improve the quality of intake of teachers as well if we want our literacy rates to go up.